Hi there, I'm Nathan Brown. This video is being produced for participants on the Barefoot Cooperative and Community Business Development Training Programme. Today we're talking about pricing strategies. Pricing should be based on a strategy or formula rather than an arbitrary think of a number approach. Here we look at a few examples of common pricing strategies. At a basic level, we have market-based pricing and cost-based pricing. So cost-based pricing is also referred to as cost plus. It's based on a standard markup and is very common among retailers. Particularly might be useful for consumer co-ops where the aim is to keep prices low but sustainable. So work out your costs to get the finished product in front of your customer, whether you produce it or whether you're buying it in. What does it cost to get that thing in front of your customer? Decide the profit you want to make and add that to your costs to determine the selling price. Really simple, right? While using this method will assure a certain per unit margin, if the prices are out of line with the market and customer expectations, your overall turnover and profit could suffer. One variation of this cost plus approach is used by some cooperatives who work on the basis of a member subscription model, especially consortium cooperatives where members pay for access to some resources or facilities. You have to do a projection of what it's going to cost to run the organisation and provide the services over the course of a year, divide it up amongst the number of members you've got, and there's your price. But you need to remember to factor in contingency or any projected profit margin you need to make for reinvestment in the future. There are variations on this member subscription model with, for instance, a basic member subscription which entitles you to a certain level of access and then extra levels of access or charges per usage. So for instance, if you were looking at shared workspace, you might get 4 hours free in your monthly membership, and any extra or the use of meeting rooms you'd have to pay extra for. Market-based pricing looks at the overall market, looks at competitors' prices and uses that as a benchmark for your own prices. This is one of the reasons why many wholesalers will provide a recommended retail price. So you might price at roughly the same as your competitors, slightly below perhaps, or slightly above, depending on your intended market position. So you're going to need to be clear about what your desired market position is. If you were to plot your business on the price to quality grid, can you deliver to the desired quality at your desired price band? Low price, high quality may seem desirable, but is generally not sustainable because the margins are so low, unless you've got high volumes. High price, low quality requires particular market conditions to work. So normally it's around scarcity, lack of competition. So you're in an isolated area or you're in an isolated situation. So in the world of retail, it's like motorway services where you pay double what you pay anywhere else, or maybe a convenience shop that's open 24 hours. So you will pay double what you'd normally pay at the supermarket. Most businesses will populate the diagonal line between low price, low quality and high price, high quality. They'll be somewhere near that line. There are disruptors to this model at the moment. So supermarkets, who are generally referred to as discounters, and they generally achieve this through very careful stock control, high volume sales, and limiting the choices of brands on the shelves to one per product line, very often their own brand. You will still need to understand what your profit margin is for business planning purposes, and then you can test out whether or not you can sustain your business. There are other approaches which crop up in the sort of community business world. Some community businesses attempt to achieve fairness by charging on the basis of ability to pay. For instance, some members of the community can receive a service for free or at cost, while others pay the full market price, plus perhaps a premium to pay for those who are getting it free or at low cost. This can also be referred to as cross-subsidy, and it's notoriously difficult to get right, especially if you're advertising different prices for the same product or same service. For example, let's imagine you were taking referrals for a service from GPs and charging them 40 quid a pop, and then advertising the same service for free to the community on your website. The GP would be more likely to provide their patients with the website address and save their budgets. You can avoid this confusion by having a clear distinction between the free services and the paid for service. Or you could run a bursary style scheme where there's a limited number of free or subsidised priced items or services, which relates to your overall sales. Some customers may actually like buying from a business who provides some form of social payback as a result of their purchases. There are some other interesting things happening. Pay as you feel. So for some products or services, pay as you feel is a way to attract a wide range of customers from across your community, or a way for you to meet your social aims. However, it should be used sparingly and with caution, as your workers, your landlord and your investors will not be working on the basis of pay as you feel for their wages, the rent and their interest payments and capital repayments. Solidarity pricing or pay it forward pricing is something which has started to become popular in recent years. So there's a scheme used by some community veg box schemes where subscribers pay extra in order to provide a person in their community with a free or subsidised veg box. Coffee shops will also sometimes allow people to buy an extra cup of coffee for a homeless person, for instance. Some other pricing strategies worthy of mention are versioning or service levels. So the customer pays for a different level of service in relation to their needs. So you start off with a basic service and then you offer incremental improvements in the service at very little extra cost. For example, car washes. You have a choice of different levels of service. Do you just get the basic wash? Do you get the wheel trims done? Do you get the internal valet? That sort of thing. Veg box, veg bag schemes quite often have a sort of versioning, different level of pricing. So you might get the basic plus fruit, or you get the large and the large plus fruit, and so on. The loss leader approach is fairly common in the world of retail. So a loss leader is sold close to or even below cost in some circumstances in order to attract customers into the shop, and whilst they're in there they buy other items which have got a higher profit margin. I can remember back in the 1990s when the price of bread in supermarkets was brought to ridiculously low levels, I think 11p or something like that, and tins of beans for a similar price, because they figured, if you're going to come into their shop to buy the really cheap bread, you're going to get the rest of your week's shop in there. It's a good short-term promotion technique if you have a range of products that customers might buy at the same time. But if this is your sole product or your main product, then you could actually be pricing yourself at an unsustainable level. Sale pricing is commonly used, New Year sales, Black Friday, Boxing Day sales. So normally that's a technique which is used to clear excess stock. So a massive discount is offered to avoid the costs of storing or the loss incurred by throwing away stuff which they're not going to sell. They need the space to put their new lines out, so they offer a discount so you'll take them away from them. You can also use targeted discounts. So by segmenting your customers, you can pick particular customer groups who you think will buy more and offer them incentives and discounts. Profitable customer segments are attracted to the business by giving them special prices. So, for instance, bulk discounts, blanket discounts, free product rewards. An example is some stationery suppliers will provide a special sort of membership scheme for businesses rather than for individuals, because they realise that businesses will frequently buy a lot more stationery than individuals will. So they try and offer discounts to entice them to be regular users of their particular shop. Bulk discounts, wholesalers work on the basis of bulk discounting. The more you buy, the cheaper it gets. So often the price that's advertised will say, from, and give a price, but that's actually the cheapest possible price, which you only access when you buy at the highest volume. The price when you only want one or two items is comparatively higher. And also there are bundle discounts. So this is becoming popular in the world of music. So a record or CD is released and you can buy a bundle. So you could just buy the music, or you could buy the music plus a t-shirt, plus a badge, plus a sticker. So you get a whole bundle of products all together at the same time. And it provides you with some extra value. Meal deals are an example as well. You can see those in most supermarkets these days. They rather make less profit by bundling up a drink and a bag of crisps with your sandwich than making no profit at all if you went and bought your sandwich elsewhere. And that's just a brief introduction to some commonly used pricing strategies.